So welcome to the Maythorn Monthly for May, and it's my birthday month and I'm taking myself off to Spain. Well, I already have, as you can probably tell by the weather and the background. This is Tarragona. It's part of Catalonia, I believe, and we'll be looking around here in this month's programme. Let's start off by going down the hill a little bit and having a look at the old amphitheatre. The amphitheatre was actually carved out of the underlying rock, and it was built in the 2nd century AD. And if you were there at the time, and no, I wasn't, before you say anything, you would have seen gladiators and wild beasts, and also public hangings and executions. Lovely stuff. It appears to be right on the seafront from the views that I've got here, but there is in fact a road, a railway line and a walking promenade between the back of the amphitheatre and the Mediterranean. Back on the Wirral and in the Wallasey Town Hall area, I've come to look at the development that I reported on last month. There just happened to be a wall mural here of the local scouts, but turn your eyes to the right, that's the top of the Town Hall. The Town Hall has been closed to the general public since 2020, and the Wirral Council confirmed last year that it was £8 million behind on repairs. We're looking at this from the main road, and last month I told you that 2 council buildings, one to the left and one to the right, were being knocked down. Now the one on the right is completely knocked down. This is the one on the left. They're still demolishing the building, but you can't really see much over the fence, so we have to go higher than that and take a look down from above. We've come down the road along the side of the town hall to the building that's nearly demolished, and you can see there are houses already on the front. So these new properties will be what the Spanish would call second line to the sea, only it's the River Mersey in this case. Looking down these side roads, you will see various boats going past on the river, from cruise liners to the Stena line, which runs between Wallasey Docks and Belfast. From Liverpool's Pier Head on the other side, there's the Manxman, the ferry across to the Isle of Man, and various cruise ships coming to Liverpool from time to time. So this is the other side of the town hall, where the original building is completely demolished, and as we swing through 180 degrees, you can see how close the site is to the riverfront. The nearest pub, just along the promenade, is called the Ferry. When I lived on the promenade in the 70s, it used to be called the Egremont Ferry. The signpost confirmed that the pub is a quarter of a mile from the Town Hall Quarter, so there you are, not far to stagger home at night. And as we zoom away from the long shot of the Ferry pub, you can see the building which our first floor flat was in on the corner of this road here. If you look at the building from the other side, and I'll show you the kind of views we used to get of the river as I swing the camera around and look out towards the Irish Sea. There's no wall art down here on the promenade, but I did find some bench art, and if you look at this more closely, this may give us a clue as to where to look for our next piece of wall art. So I've found another piece of wall art, wall mural over there, and the council have put a sign in the way about re-urbanisation, so we can't quite see all of it. However, it did draw my attention to the fact that they're re-urbanising, whatever that means, an old street, which is quite an interesting little job. And then, changing the subject, I found a train to play with. Well, actually, you can't get to play with this one because it's behind a glass screen. But it's called Tarragona, which is the old Roman name of Tarragona. And I presume this is an original Renfe engine because it's got the Renfe name on it. So there we are. Bit of railway history here in Tarragona. The area I was standing in has these 2 long streets, as you saw on the map, and re-urbanisation is a direct translation of the word the Spanish use, but I don't know if we'd call this redevelopment or refurbishment, but they've obviously closed off the street. They're going to do some work on it, and that means we'll have to come back and see how they did it in a year or two's time. As you could probably tell, the amphitheatre I showed you before is down at sea level, but most of the city centre is a level up from that. If we look down from the balcony at the end of the main street, you can get an idea of how far below that the gardens along the front are. And you can also see the road, railway and the promenade walk. Being up on the balcony level, you can walk along, get some great views out to sea and around the town, and there are lots of seats to sit on and take a rest and cool off from the sun. And there's even some entertainment taking place on many of the days we visited.
Pues nene, ¿estás diciendo que te vas? Pues agarra los 3 trapitos y vete. Y las botitas de la nieve, las que trajiste. Gloria a Dios. Aleluya. Goodbye, baby. Se fue.
So I'm in the business of finding out bits of wall art, so I'm standing in front of one now. We're still in Tarragona in Spain on the coast. And there are people all around, there are pigeons all around, and it's obviously an ideal place to walk your dogs because behind Ruth, who's holding the camera, there are dogs going past all the time. They also do a lot of graffiti here. It's a bit high up for you to see, but there's graffiti on a wall up there. And there's other wall art around Tarragona. So as you know, I'm on the lookout for that, and I've started calling that the Maythorn Monthly Mural.
Pues nene, ¿estás diciendo que te vas? Pues agarra los 3 trapitos y vete. Y las botitas de la nieve, las que trajiste. Gloria a Dios. Aleluya.
And anything illegal is slightly illegal is very exciting. There's always a surprise element of not knowing what is going to happen next.
Paul Rowley's in the studio this morning. Good morning, Paul Rowley.
Good morning.
Right, that's it.
You're tuned to Radio Caroline on 199, England's first commercial radio station and your all-day music station.
I was 9 years old when I first heard Radio Caroline North, because I was born halfway between Liverpool and Manchester, and it blew my mind. It changed my life, effectively. I knew at the age of 7 when I first heard Radio Luxembourg I wanted to be on the wireless, as we then called it. The big, wide, wonderful world of Radio Caroline North, a tribute to what I will regard as the best pirate radio station. Why? Because I was 9 years old when I first heard it in the summer of 1964, and some of my heroes are on this panel tonight. We have today a wide range of people who've been involved in Caroline North, from one of the first presenters, Alan Turner, from one of the last presenters, Roger Scott. We have one of the best newsreaders in the business, John Aston, and some of those people who defied the law after August the 14th, 1967, or more importantly for Caroline North, September the 1st, 1967, because of the delays, because of the Isle of Man government. We have Mark Sloan and Wally Meehan, who will be performing a song at the end of the evening, so be prepared.
The next station is Crystal Palace, our final stop.
Radio a go-go. From the north of England, you're in line with the Go-Go Boys of Caroline.
C-A-R-O-L-I-N-E, Caroline, Caroline, Caroline. It's what's happening.
Man, that's groovy.
Sounds fine, it's Caroline.
Caroline, the sound of the nation. Caroline, the sound of the land. Caroline, the sound of the nation. Caroline.
From a corner of the Irish Sea, sail a ship that looked proud and chic. Come on, everybody. She stood tall with pride, with a mast so high, she was ready for the world to see. So fare thee well, my Caroline. On 199 we miss you, now you're gone. You have made your mark on the music world. In history you'll never be forgot. She was the idea of an Irishman. Roland O'Reilly was his name. With dreams he so wanted to come true, broadcasting music to the world. So fare thee well, my Caroline. On 199 we miss you, now you're gone. Can't hear you. You have made your mark on the music world. In history you'll never be forgot. There's a solo now. You can also clap your hands. Come on, put a bit of life into it. So fare thee well, my Caroline. On 199 we'll miss you, now you're gone. You have made your mark on the music world. In history you'll never be forgot. She set sail from the port of Greenore. Very soon she was bound for the Isle of Man. Come on, keep laughing. And this is how the music changed our lives. You made superstars we would not have had. So fare thee well, my Caroline North. No longer hear your bell chime. You have made your mark on the music world. In history you'll never be forgot. Roland set out the ways of free radio, with DJs ready to blaze the waves. He wanted freedom and choice for everyone, broadcasting and making history. Come on, everybody. So fare thee well, my Caroline North. No longer hear your bell chime. You have made your mark on the music world. In history you'll never be forgot. We will never forget you. Ladies and gentlemen, can we have 3 big cheers for Radio Caroline North? Hip hip! Hooray! Hip hip! Hooray! Hip hip! Hooray!
The Brian Smart Show, here on your radio.
Remember this solid gold one. 77 WABC.
Brian Smart.
I asked for a drink, you see, because I'm getting a bit hoarse here.
It's so horrific, the Dr. X series, that you could only feature it on a late night show.
Turn on the radio every day, how simply wonderful. Hooray, 247 is where you'll see music and laughter, BBC. So when you're down feeling awfully low, here's what you do to make your blues just go. Open the pages of your radio dials and turn on the radio and move your blues away.
The greatest team in the world. Keep the case, solid gold time machine of America.
Mrs. Butler's eldest, playing all the hits and more.
for Radio City on 194.
Spotlight carpets leave the others in the shade.
There's a massive carpet clearance on now at Spotlight, and we only got to the first line. How about that?
Tea, coffee, sugar, and gramophones.
And now, from the sewage room Salford, it's Radio 1 Club! Oh dear, let me press a button.
Don't worry, I'll do it for you.
The voice of Radio 1.
It's the Dave Cash Show.
Cheshire County Council says it will support moves to win more government aid to keep the controversial Wrexham to Chester line as a double track.
Where's the other half? Calais.
And a very good morning from me to you to the breakfast show. Cut!
194
Britain's #1 radio station.
Frank, I'm tired, I'm fed up, and I'm going to bed.
Well, we're now in the old town of Tarragona. This takes you back to Roman times. Tarragona is often called the Roman city by the sea. And what you can see behind me is the cathedral, pretty massive. I've walked all around it and tried to get a picture of it to convey its size, but it's just so big. You'll see bits of it anyway. When we were on the tourist train, I've been through this old town twice on that particular one over the years. You don't see very much. You do go past the cathedral, but it's just a glimpse. You don't see a lot of the old town. Today we've been to a square called the Plaza de Forum, I think it was, the Forum Place Square. And it was literally every doorway was another bar restaurant, and it was very difficult, firstly, to know which one to choose, and secondly, to know which tables belong to which restaurant. Anyway, we'll go down to the square and have a look, just see how that's all laid out. When we first arrived here, they were still setting out the tables and it wasn't very busy, but that gathered speed towards lunchtime as I settled down to have some patatas bravas and a drink. It's very busy here and noisy. By the time we left that area, pretty much every seat was taken, but then as we wandered around the old town, we kept finding new places that we could stop and eat that weren't quite as busy. The old town attracts a lot of tourists, and there are plenty of places for them to go and see down the narrow streets, and then of course there's the old Roman ruins and buildings, and a lot of the tours through there are guided. As you can see, there are plenty of little bars and cafes tucked away, some of them a little bit elevated with some nice views. We went back round to where the cathedral is, and there's a map on the wall which explains how it was all set out in Roman times, but right now what's set out are little street markets. I think we'd probably call these flea markets. What it does give you though is a chance to see some of the cathedral building a little bit more close up. While I was in the old town, I came across the ultimate wall mural. It was a building that was obviously completely blank canvas at the beginning, and the artist has painted on a number of apartments and balconies to make it look as though it's a proper house. He's got his own little advert on the bottom left, and his own cat appears there too, and he's got his own stable with a horse in it, and it's all just painted on. Back to our hotel, which is on the Market Square, and from there, as I've said before, you can walk out onto the Rambla Nova. That's the main big dual carriageway. We'll come back to that because on the Market Square, believe it or not, there's a market. We're on the 3rd floor of this hotel. We can see out onto the square in the room they've given us this time, but we can't see inside the market. We need to go for a walk through to see that. Know anything about the Mediterranean diet, you won't be surprised to see a whole load of vegetables on different stalls. You may be surprised at the size of some of these if you haven't been here before. And if you want any other kind of shopping, they've put the supermarket Mercadona in the basement, so you just go down an escalator. Perhaps the most dominant feature of the indoor market was the fish. I've never seen so many fish stalls selling so many different kinds of fish. It's been so hot while we've been here in Tarragona that it's been wise to keep indoors a lot of the time, or in the shade, and a lot of bars in the old town are in the shade, but also on the Market Square, particularly when the sun starts to get low in the afternoon, you can find shaded or sunny areas to go and sit and have a drink. As the afternoon progresses towards the evening, more and more families turn up after work and school presumably, and you'll see families all over the square, and most of the bars then become full. As I pointed out before, the hotel in the Market Square is only a couple of 100 metres walk from the main Rambla Nova, which is a really wide dual carriageway with the traffic running down the left and the right hand sides, and the walkway in the middle, which is for pedestrians, is much wider than the roadways, and it gets used for various occasions. This one is another one of those markets. While we were walking down here, we spotted the tourist train going past, and it's only a quick walk round the corner to its pickup point, so there we are. We'll go and explore the area a little bit quicker by a train. Now this is called the yellow train. I'm colourblind, but not that colourblind. It doesn't look a bit yellow to me. Tourist train is an ideal way to see the big picture of Tarragona, and then you can decide later where you might want to visit more specifically. It's also a good place to see the back of the amphitheatre from as you go past that, and then you progress down to the marina and the port, back through the main town. The final part of the journey is a bit of a detour up into the old town, which I've mentioned before. The blue train, or was it yellow, takes you along the seafront. You get to see quite a lot of the beach. You also get to see the railway line and the railway station because these run parallel. You go through the port area and you then come past a whole row of restaurants and bars, so plenty of places to eat down here. While you're on this trip, you can decide where you want to come back to if you're here for a while. As we go back through the town, we spot the place that we stopped for breakfast this morning. It's just one of a load of cafes along this street. And finally we're back to the viewpoint, which is known as the balcony of Tarragona with its fantastic views. And before we leave the tourist train trip, I'd like to go back and show you some wall murals. I know I'm obsessed, but we passed a few good ones on the way.
People always ignore me, you know. It's looking the other way.
So there's the place where you catch the tourist train, and it brings you back to this point, and the arrow points to a lift which takes you down to the next level where there's a restaurant that we absolutely loved. The first time we came here, we discovered that you can't sit right on the edge unless you're having food, so the area over to the right is for those who just want a drink. So we sat there, we watched the kids playing in the playground, and then we went down another level to see what was below. From down here you can see back up to where we've just been, and we could see that sitting on the edge of the restaurant was definitely the best place to be, so we vowed to go back another day and eat there too. The first time I came to Tarragona years ago on the train, I remember stepping out onto the platform and you could see all these boats because all the transport links here are alongside each other, the roads, the railways and the boats. And just outside the railway station there's some more wall murals. This is another view from our bedroom window in the hotel, showing when there was a market actually on the square outside. And this is a view of the main dual carriageway on a day when it was being used as the finishing line for some kind of race. We didn't stay to find out what that was because we wanted to go back to our restaurant and buy some food and get that view.
Know you've been a good friend, and that's in the thick and thin.
I had a really great burger, and Ruth, eating more healthily than me, had some fish.
'Cause you've been a good friend.
And unfortunately that was our last visit to the terrazza because we had to get a train up to the airport and go home. That isn't our train.
Come to this particular point in Tarragona to explain to you how the different levels work. This is the level of the railway station, almost. We're actually just on a rise to cross it and go down back to the beach level. Behind us, it's rising up towards the town centre. The town centre level is up there, and then there is a further higher level, which is the old town. There's a smell of smoke now, so I'm not going to hang around here. It's coming from behind me, and it's coming from the railway embankment, so I'm going to clear out of here and just hope that we can get a train today.
I guess that was my fault. I picked too noisy a spot to talk to you then. The fire went on for quite a while. The fire brigade were called, and they closed the railway line for over an hour. So in the end, we were late getting to the airport, and we had to get a taxi from Barcelona because we wouldn't have got there in time by the train.
Well, welcome to Burnley. We've got back from Spain and we've come to the bungalow development that's going on here, and you may be able to tell that I'm actually being filmed by a drone. You may be able to hear it, in fact, and if you're not absolutely certain, then how about if I back it off a bit? Definitely a drone, okay? Couldn't do that any other way.
Well, since we were here last time, there's more concrete blocks. They're being put up all around the back, and also the garage is starting to take shape. You'll also see some stone being put up, and that's because that's going to be the outer skin of this development when it's finished. And in between the concrete blocks and the stone, plenty of insulation, because as you may have heard, you have to insulate your homes a lot better for the future to cut down global warming. In other words, you've got to survive without burning any electricity or gas if you possibly can. Now here's a job that I've done on a couple of houses I've owned. Leaded windows, people like them, but I don't, I'm afraid, because on the inside they cut out so much light that it actually can be quite dingy. So I'm glad to see that these windows are coming out, and for now these openings will be boarded up and there'll be new glazing coming in the future.
Right, I'm in Burnley outside the bungalow development with Steve Bushby, and I'm sinking in mud a bit. So obviously the summer weather's not quite here yet. There's still a lot of water around.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. So you've done quite a lot, because the last time I was here, you just had concrete blocks, but these are finishing touches we're standing by now.
This is the sandstone,
the
exterior stone, with the coins at the side, stone coins, as you can see.
Right. Yeah, I haven't heard that term before. Is that spelt the same way that money coins are?
I'm not sure, but that's what it's called in the building trade, coins, and that might be another name for them, but around here, all the builders seem to call them coins.
All right, coins it is, coins of the realm, perhaps. So you've done an awful lot since we last showed the scaffolding coming over the roof.
Exactly.
The bits of steel beam. That was a scary day for you?
Well, not my problem if they drop down, so I'm sure the guys knew what they were doing.
You trust them, basically?
Well, basically, yeah.
Well, got to, haven't you? You paid them the money and they do the job. So we are now getting an idea, particularly as the weather's a bit clearer today, of the kind of views you're going to get when this is all finished.
Exactly.
And I'm going to fly the drone right over the forest to where that lake is that we visited a year or two ago.
Okay.
And we're going to talk about the bathroom. We'll go inside and look at the bathroom after. But I've been noticing that there's been some interesting work going on with the underfloor heating, and that looks like quite a delicate process. So what's involved in that?
Well, you've got to make sure that you've got no cuts in the pipe, obviously. And once the pipe works in the channels, that you can see the guy pressing with his foot carefully, so the pipes are recessed into the grooves of the 22mm board. It allows the floor to put over concrete boards over that, and then the tiles.
Right. So I noticed that the flooring was pre-cut to take this pipe.
That's right.
So it's a special stuff.
It's a special pre-cut pipe with the silver back on it, so it reflects the heat upwards. Underneath those pipes, you've got 4 inches of kingspan to keep the heat in the house and not under the floor.
Yeah, of course, let it escape. So, and of course this has been your motto right through. Insulation, if there's a place you can put insulation, you put it there.
That's it, it's all underfloor, in the joists, everything's been extra strengthened, like the ceiling joists were 3x2s, I've put 4x2s, so I can get better insulation in the ceiling.
Yeah.
So everything's, as you say, these days you're paying a lot for gas and electricity, so why not insulate it?
You might try and pay nothing if you possibly can.
Exactly.
Bit of solar and you're away. So the pipes in the floor, going back to those, they turn some really sharp bends. So presumably,
not really. They're quite moderate on the turns. Well, you'll see that when you see the guys putting them in. They're not kinking in any way.
No, but that relies on him feeding it round well.
That's right.
Because that could easily kink, couldn't it?
Yeah, the reason that you can see when he's unravelling the pipe work, he's twisting it round so it doesn't get kinked in any way.
Yeah. So what's the next step for you then?
Well, the next step, as you can see, is getting the roof on for the extension,
and you've made some progress with the garage as well.
Oh yeah, that's getting higher. Each day as it goes along, the brick is going higher and higher.
So you've done all the right stuff, you're heading in the right direction. We're going to move on to the rest of your bathroom, which is just about finished. So come back in a week's time or so. It'll be June by then, and we'll show you the rest of the bathroom.
Going back over to Wallasey, where I have my shared house, and you may remember last year we completed an ensuite room with lots of insulation. We put a tenant in there and we found that there was a problem with the quadrant shower. We haven't tried one of those before, in that he kept knocking his elbows while he was showering, and that's because it's a rigid glass door and it makes the space too small. So we removed that and we put on a shower curtain. Problem solved, and we're now re-advertising the room on Spare Room.